Hi, Fatima. Fatima.
Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible now? Am I audible now? Hello? Sir, can we start the session now? Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Shabina Fatima, Assistant Professor in the Department of English, IARE. And today we gather here for 3-day international workshop on research, research writing and publishing. Let me introduce my institution. My institute is Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. It was established in the year 2000, and it is a devoted group of eminent professors, industrialists, and having a long and outstanding experience in educational system with a mission, education for liberation. With its belief in holistic approach to excellence, the Institute offers distinct teaching learning process to put the boundaries of human knowledge. The Institute excels in supporting research initiative among students and faculty members. And here lies the importance of our program, that is academic writing and publishing. So as we all know that research can be considered as a movement from the unknown to the unknown. It is actually a voyage to discovery for which you will need to produce a scholarly work, whether that is a thesis, it can be a doctoral dissertation, it can be a series of journal articles. The academic writing process is one of the most daunting parts of the research process. That requires a training in many aspects of research, including the framing of research problem, development of conceptual framework, exceptional design and methods, data collection, analysis, and the proper interpretation of findings. No matter how novel and valuable your research is, unless you are able to effectively communicate the details of your work, other scholars and the practitioner will not fully benefit from your effort. This is why the output of research, including thesis, journal articles, conference presentation, etc., are so highly valued in academics. This workshop has been organized to discuss all these and many more issues which may occur during and further in the process of research. Well, we have well-known experts and researchers who have been invited to present their views and discuss the opportunities, strength, and weakness of the research. And I'm very sure that you all will feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this workshop. I welcome you all to this event and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. So without delay, let me introduce to our eminent speaker, Dr. Jetty Wilson, Professor and Head Department of English, IARE, Hyderabad. He's an eminent, down-to-earth personality who, with his soothing and composed sense of language expertise, inspires everyone around him. He in his exceptional research style depicts in his articles and works. He obtained MA degree from Andhra University, Vizag, and also he received PGDT and PhD degree from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. He worked as an assistant professor assistant professor from India and abroad. He has molded many Arabian students as fluent English as fluent English speaker through his interactive communication skills language teaching in abroad. He has published many research articles in reputed international journals and attended many national and international conferences in India and abroad. His PhD thesis, he examines the social realities in the plays of David Edgar, one of the eminent modern British dramatists in the contemporary English literature. He also looks into the significance of social realism in the modern British drama. So here I welcome Dr. Jetty Wilson for his speak. Sir, you are most welcome. We are very happy and we are very honored to have you. Now, podium is all yours. Please, sir.
Make me host.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me, all of you? Please.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Please, okay, audible. Okay, fine. Okay, good evening, everyone. I feel it's my immense pleasure to meet you all. Places across this globe. It's a really
It seems there is some technical glitch. Please bear with us. It seems there is some technical glitch. Please bear with us. Mr. Rakesh Chandra and Mr. Rakesh Raja have raised their hand. If you have any question, please ask. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Please unmute yourself and you can ask. Rakesh Raja. Mr. Chandra also have raised his hand. If you have any question, any doubt, you can ask. If you want to share something. Redmi 24, I don't know who's this. Redmi 24. Am I audible? Yes, what happened? Let me check with the speakers. Hello? Okay, so 1 second. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. No. Yes, sir. You are a host now.
No, it's fine. Yeah, sorry, there is a small technical problem, and we'll start the session. And can you hear me, everyone? Okay, fine. So just I'm admitting, participants are, they're, coming into this session. Just give me a while. I'll start the session. Just admitting. Yeah, fine. Yeah, my topic is, an overview of research. No, just I want to start my topic for the people, those who are, going to take a research, study. So I'm purely confined to the beginners, how a research, a work can be carried out. That is my aim of that, selecting this topic. So here, everybody wants to do the research. This is, academic accomplishment. But, many people, they are, it's a dilemma in between where we have to start and how do we start and what is a research and how can we carry out, acceptable research and all these things. So just I want to, make you sure if you listen this session, definitely you will have some idea how do we carry out the research. First of all, what is a research? As per that, Ranjit Kumar, research is a way of thinking. It is a way of thinking. So a thinking plays a crucial part in research. And also examining critically the various aspects of your day-to-day professional work. And also understanding and formulating guiding principles that govern a particular procedure. So here, my dear friends, your thinking should be very unique. A researcher should not think like a layman, a common man, because he is going to establish a unique aspect a unique concept. For that reason, a researcher or a research scholar, his thinking should be very critical, and he should be aware of critical observations, and he has to be in the position to find out a research problem, locate the research problem, and he has to be in the position, how do we carry out that research problem in a meaningful research study. So that's why, my dear friends, it is it's guiding principles that govern a particular procedure, and also developing and testing new theories. So theory, there are many theories in second language acquisition methodology. There are many theories. Our research definitely should connect one of the theories. And also, what is a research means? If you observe what is a research, see this one. The same, research is one of the ways of collecting accurate, sound, and reliable information about effectiveness of your interventions, thereby providing you with evidence of its effectiveness. So it's a collecting accurate, sound, and reliable information. So if you are going to collect any information, it should be very reliable. It should be sound, and there should be authenticity. So if you are collecting, if you are gathering that kind of information, definitely you are a step ahead as a research scholar. And also, my dear friend, there is wonderful scholars, Mal and Stotsky. They conveyed that academic research is a planned methodological exploration of some aspect of language teaching, literature studies, or gender studies, whatever it is, etc. It's academic research is a planned, well planned. Because if you are taking any research, a study, first we have to make it a plan. What a research scholar should do in the beginning, and after collecting his information, what next step? And he has a certain plans. Based on that certain plans, okay, so we will carry out that research. And also, my dear friends, if you see this one, there are different types of researches, and one is exploratory research, observational research, descriptive research, case studies, action research, and experimental research, casual research, and correlational research. Yes, anybody, any scholar, any research scholar can take as per his interest, and as per that that situation demands. That's why we have to. Yeah, just sorry, I'm admitting the people also at the same time. They are in waiting room. So these are the types of researches. Okay, fine. And see this one. First of all, we have to think about a research hypothesis. What is research hypothesis? Many people, they have so many doubts regarding this area, research hypothesis. So this is a wonderful personality, Kellinger. He, as per his words, a hypothesis is a conjectural statement of the relationship between two or more variables. So what is a variable? How it is compatible to that hypothesis? What is a variable? Okay, fine. And also Ranjit Kumar, he talks about a hypothesis, a hunch, assumption, suspicion, assertion, or an idea about a phenomenon, a relationship or situation, the reality or truth of which you do not know. So first of all, my dear friends, you should have formulate on a hypothesis. if you are going to carry out any research, you have to, formulate one thing, hypothesis. So see this one, I have given some examples. Using online learning tools may enhance students' speaking skills. There are two variables. One is online learning tools, and the other variable is, the students' speaking skills. So I mentioned these two variables in that first example. So that is a hypothesis. What is the relation between, one is the relation between online learning tools and enhance student speaking skills. Okay, and student speaking skills. This is the relation. Okay, so this is the hypothesis. What is your hypothesis? Using online learning tools may enhance student speaking skills. That is accurate hypothesis. I think you get my point. And also come to the second example. Subtitles of movies will help learners to improve English proficiency if learners are encouraged to watch English movies. So what are the variables here? Subtitles of movies. And the next one is improve English proficiency. There are two variables. In these two variables, okay, there is a connection. That is a hypothesis. So being a research scholar, you have to formulate a hypothesis like this. It's a very, you should have, proper thinking, and you should have, proper, arrangement. Then only definitely you are able to, formulate a wonderful hypothesis. Hypothesis is the soul of your research. Okay, fine. If you see this one, okay, what is the significance of research questions? Here, for example, my dear friends, research questions plays a crucial role. Always, you should be very careful about, research questions. And we have to formulate research questions. It's a kind of statement identifies the phenomenon to be studied. So if you look at, any, research problem, then you have to formulate, you have to design research questions. For example, it is the habit of questioning what we do and systematic examination of, okay, for example, if you take clinical observations to explain and find answers for what we perceive with a view to, instituting appropriate changes for more effective professional service. Let us take some disciplines. We will explain how that research questions, can be designed. Suppose you are working in a field of health. You may be a frontline, a service provider, or a supervisor, or a health administrator or planner. You may be in a hospital or working as an, outreach community health worker, or you may be a nurse, doctor, or occupational therapist, or physiotherapist, social worker, or other, paramedic. In any of these positions, some of the questions may come to your mind, or someone else may ask us for these answers. What it is, how many patients do I see every day? Or they may ask, what are some of the most common conditions prevalent among many patients or my patients? What are the causes of these conditions? Why do some people have a particular condition whereas others do not? What are the health needs for the community? Or what are the benefits of this, program to the community? How do I demonstrate the effectiveness of my service? Or why do some people use the service while others do not? Or what do people think about service? How satisfied are patients with the service? How effective is the service? Or how can the service be improved? So these are the set of questions. Okay, these are the common questions. Wherever you working in the field, these are the common questions. If you are, not working in medical field, it's some other teaching field. For example, your students, they are not, sound in writing skills. They are good at a spoken language, whereas they are not that much sound in, written language. What do? So you will formulate some questions. So you will identify some, research problem, and you will formulate some questions based on that, incident, or based on that, situation. So this is a basic parameter to form research questions. From this, you will form, all questions may not be useful as research questions, and you will delete some of the questions, and you will add some other questions which are very relevant to your study. So that, my dear friends, forming research question is a skill. Because, you have to, think, very uniquely. And you will formulate, research questions. Okay, fine. Do monetary incentives affect the teacher's efficacy in their profession? See this one. One research question I designed. Do monetary incentives affect the teacher's efficacy in their profession? Yes, definitely, you will start giving the answer. So that the research question, my dear friends, it is a valid and clear research question, what is well justified. If you formulate or if you generate, research question, you have to justify that question. We should not, generate, vague research questions. Otherwise, that research will go in null hypothesis. Of course, it is also acceptable research. And also, my dear friend, your research question should be original. It should be designed by you. Many people, many scholars, and many, I have observed many scholars, they come and they ask us, sir, can you please do any topic that I'm going to do research? No. We should not ask, like that, because, you have, interest in certain areas. I have my own interest in other areas. So I should not make you, or I should not, bring to my area and work, according to my wish. There will be as a gap. So first of all, you have to find out where you feel comfortable, which area you feel comfortable, and what actually you are much interested. Based on that, if you are, working in your interested area, definitely your research will go very soundly. So that's why you have to, generate, original research questions. And your research questions will have feasibility. And also, your research questions should be focused. Always you should be within that circle. You should not come out of that circle, that area. So that is, see, so this, if you observe these 4 points, well justified, original, feasible, and focused. This is, a way of generating research questions. And my dear friends, if you, so there are some people, I'm just admitting, okay, fine. So, and what is, next one is, if you talk about a theoretical framework. Theoretical framework. Every research will be carried out on certain theoretical framework. What is the relation between the theoretical content and the steps of investigation, detailing the axis on which it will be based, the theoretical sources to which it will draw, and why? What is the theoretical framework? If you see this one, the theoretical framework introduces and describes the theory that explains why the research problem under study exists. Okay, I am from, a literature background. So I did my work purely literature. And at the same time, I'm able to teach communication skills to my students. And my work purely based on that, postmodern theory. First of all, if I am going to carry out any research, first of all, I should stick to one theory.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Are you there? Are you there, sir? Are you there, sir? What happened? What is the problem? This is not my phone. Are you there, sir? No, he's not there. Okay. I think sir has some network issue. Because of that, I think he's. Hello. What happened? What happened, sir? Okay, okay. You are on mute, sir. You are mute, sir. Okay, I'll unmute you.
Okay. Make me host. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, dear friends. There is some technical problem, and I'm extremely sorry. Extremely sorry. Okay. Thank you. Can you hear everyone? Please let me know. I'm audible. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. See. Yeah. I'm talking about postmodernism. So, what is a postmodernism? Because I'll just take my research as an example, just 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes. So, what is a postmodernism? So, postmodern literature's precursor, modernist literature, emphasized quest for meaning, suggesting the author an enlightenment style, creator of order, and mourning the chaotic world. Examples include James Joyce, T.S. Eliot, and Virginia Woolf. They were wonderfully, they just, contributed, excellent works in the form of postmodernism. T.S. Eliot, if you take, Wasteland, or James Joyce and Virginia Woolf. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your slides are not visible, and your video is also not visible, sir.
Okay, fine. Make me host.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay, Fatima?
Yes, sir. This is fine now.
Good. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, thank you. Because there is a raining at my area, so that some network problem is going on. I'm extremely sorry. So I'll take postmodernism. Okay, there are certain characteristics. What is a postmodernism? What are those characteristics? That is embrace of randomness and the playfulness and the fragmentation and metafiction and intertextuality. These are the major characteristics of postmodernism. So that if you talk about the great writers,
మోకాలు ఉంటది కదా, మోకాలు అది అరిగిపోయిందా ఏమో
Yeah, please. Okay. See this one. If you talk about John Broth, okay, he is a postmodern writer because Broth wrote an essay of literary criticism, okay, titled "Literature of Exhaustion" in the year 1967, detailing all writing as imitation and considered by many to be the manifesto of postmodern literature. And also, but the fourth novel, Gill's Good Boy, which is written in 1966, is a prime example of metafiction characteristic of postmodernism, because they purely stick to postmodernism. And if you talk to Samuel Beckett, and Beckett's theater of absurd is called theater of absurd. He emphasized and a disintegration of narrative. In the play, Waiting for Godot, Beckett creates an entire existential narrative figure, two characters who contemplate their day as the wait for that ambiguous Godot to appear. However, he never arrives and his identity is not revealed. See, if you read, Waiting for Godot, you will see this is a kind of, a narrating style of postmodernism. And this is completely against modernists. Modernists, they construct, and these postmodernists, they deconstruct. They demolish, and they just want to, create, which is, meaningful. That's why this is the theatrical framework is very important, my dear friends. If you are not to stick to that, this theatrical framework, if you are not following one theory, definitely we cannot, satisfy that reader. That's why any theory, you can take a deconstructionism, or you can take, realism, you can take social realism, or you can take naturalism, or whatever the theory. There are certain writers, they belong to certain groups, certain areas, certain isms. So when you are selecting, such books or such novels or such stories, first of all, you being a scholar, being a research scholar, you should have a clear-cut idea about what is that particular theory talks about. Then you are able to, establish, wonderful conceptual framework, wonderful theoretical conceptual framework. Then your thesis will be sound. So that's why many students, I've been observing that many students, just they give very least priority theory, and they just jump into that, doing research. So unless until we have, awareness of that particular theory, how can we carry out that research? That's a big question mark. That's why always, first you should have clear-cut idea about, a theory, where theory is a canvas. In that canvas, you can make miracles. You can establish your conceptual idea. It can be accepted because you are following certain theory. That's why, my dear friends, always, theoretical framework plays a crucial role while you are doing research. That's why all my dear, basic, beginners I'm talking about, actually, beginners, please, maintain that kind of theoretical framework when you are doing your research work. And if you observe, the next one is, next one is very crucial thing, a review of literature. What is a review of literature? Everything. If you observe, English teaching related research, first of all, introduction, review literature, and your methodology, and your next one is your data interpretation, and your findings and conclusions. This is one format of doing research. So in that case, review of literature, it plays a crucial role, because if you are able to establish review of literature, or if you are able to provide a review of literature, apt review of literature, as you are, no doubt at all, you have your own, conceptual idea. Because you are just, fabricating your thesis with, apt review of literature. What it will provide? It will provide a theoretical background study. How far that particular study went on, how many people worked on that particular study, and what are their conceptual ideas, what are their arguments, and what is your argument now? There should be novelty in your argument. You should not talk about their argument, just they take their ideas, but now you are just, fulfilling that research gaps, and you are establishing your unique ideas. That is, power of a review of literature. And also, my dear friend, it helps to establish the links between what the research is proposing to examine and what has already been studied. So, your review of literature will help you how much study already done on that particular area and what you are going to do now. And also, if you talk about the third point, it enables to show the findings which have contributed to that, existing body of knowledge in your profession. It enables to show findings. Yes, you will find, because if you are a teacher, if you are a language trainer, definitely you have, wonderful, research problems. You will find, many research problems in the classroom teaching. And at the same time, what will you do? You will definitely work on them. And you will design research questions, and you will try to answer your research questions. So this review of literature, my dear friends, it will give you a certain clarity regarding your existing knowledge and what you are going to enhance or what you are going to think in future. And also, my dear friends, it helps you to integrate your research findings into that existing body of knowledge. That is research, review of literature. Review of literature plays a crucial role. Yes, immediately, if any evaluator sees your review of literature, immediately will come to conclusion, yes, he has done a lot of work. Because your review of literature shows what you studied and how you connect that study to your existing study. That connecting, you have to fulfill that research gaps. If you are good at provide a review of literature. And also, my dear friends, if you talk about in relation to your own study, the literature review can help in 4 ways. What are they? Bring clarity and focus to your research problem. So if you are within that, focused circle, it never allow you to go out of that, focused study. That's why, my dear friends, as we are, English teachers or English trainers and, guiding, scholars, we always tell that, research scholars, this is, first of all, you should, understand what is the power of a review of literature. That is the strength of your research. And you are, establishing your ideas based on your review of literature. That's why it's very important. And also, my dear friends, improve your research methodology. Based on your research review of literature, okay, you will improve your research methodology. Research methodology plays a crucial role in research, how you are going to carry out your research. It talks about your, variables. It talks about your samples. It talks about all these things. And also, my dear friends, broaden your knowledge base, research area. You will come to know many writers. You will come to know many scholars' arguments, and you will come to know the new ideas, and where you will expand your knowledge boundaries and your cognitive levels. So your thinking levels will definitely, you are exploring new areas. When you are exploring new areas, you just, knowingly, unknowingly, you are, expanding your, it's knowledge levels. That's a very important, my dear friends. You being a research scholar, you should not be stagnated somewhere. You should always explore knowledge. And next one is contextualize your findings. This is a contextualize your findings. Definitely, will give a certain clarity regarding your findings. Okay, my dear friends, if you talk about, this one, next, we are going to talk about data analysis. This is, a very crucial part. Your, findings and the conclusion depends on your data analysis. So everybody knows it is C.R. Kothari. Okay, he explains that the term analysis refers to that, a computation of a certain measures along with searching for patterns of relationship that exist among data groups. This is such a wonderful, outstanding personality, Kothari. He is giving such a statement. Okay, now see this one. What is a data analysis? Data analysis is, in short, a method of putting facts and figures to solve research problems. You collect your data, and now you are analyzing your data regarding, related to your area. And it is vital to finding the answer to the research questions. The questions already you framed, research questions, whether they are compatible or not compatible, this data analysis will, do clarity, will give the clarity. And also, my dear friends, the interpretation of the data, which is taken from that analysis of the data and makes inferences and draws conclusions. See, some people, they analyze data in well manner. Because very critical observe, they observe very critically, and a researcher needs, that critical observation. Is simply, if you are analyzing data, means everybody does that. But being a research scholar, he has that skill. He should have, or she should have that kind of observation skills. And also, my dear friends, the raw data, in which case the data must be analyzed and deduce the result of analysis. This is functions of data analysis. And next, if you talk next one, see this one. There are two types of research. One is quantitative data and qualitative data. What is a quantitative data? And, see this one. Quantitative data refers to any information that can be quantified, counted or measured, and given a numerical value. That is a quantitative data. So quantitative research is based on numeric data. You are, just analyzing or just interpreting. Fatma, what happened? Fatima, what happened?
Nothing, sir. Nothing happened.
No, you are host. You are host now. Just make me host.
Oh.
What happened, madam?
Okay, sir. Now it is, I think.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. We are at the edge of the completion of that, presentation. Please, Yeah, we are talking about, quantitative data. Okay, this is quantitative. Completely, it is numeric data. If you are doing any, a research, it is a quantitative data related research. Many people, those who are, working, for example, CSE, computer science engineering, and EC, okay, electronics and communication engineering. And these people, they have this kind of quantitative, data related research. Usually they work on them. And next one is, if you talk about, this is a qualitative data. This is a qualitative data. What is a qualitative data? Qualitative data is a descriptive in nature and expressed in terms of language rather than numerical values. This is a completely descriptive in nature. Describe. We are describing one notion, one concept. I think in my mind, and I just describe that notion, or that is a qualitative data. That is, it doesn't bother about numerical values. And also, qualitative research focuses on the qualities of users and why behind the numbers. Okay, that is, you just say, I just want to give that, qualitative data and quantitative data. Okay, this is, usually everybody does that. And next one is, see this one. What it is, the sunflowers had a fresh smell that filled the office. COVID has affected the psychological stamina of aged and children. These are the examples for qualitative or quantitative. If you just see that, example, you will easily find out. Just, it's a simple, okay? It's a qualitative. And next one is, significance of findings. What is the significance of findings? What are your findings ultimately? After analyzing data, what are your ultimate findings and conclusions? You are going to give findings to your readers, so that, see, if you see this one, confirm or reject the hypothesis underpinning your study. Yes, your hypothesis is accurate or not. So if your finding is positive, or no doubt at all, your hypothesis is very accurate, sound. And also, my dear friends, explain why your research is important. In the findings, you will, state that what is the significance of your research, why your research is, sound, and what is, that uniqueness in your research, and also justify why research is needed. Yes, whether really research work is needed on that particular area. You will tell them that, what we will tell in that, findings. These are the things you have to state, to that your readers. And also, impact of research in the field, its a contribution, and how others would benefit from it. This is a very, very important point. If you just, did a research, definitely that work definitely will help others. Because how you carried out that particular research work, if somebody is reading, definitely he will formulate, some new concepts. So your contribution is very important to your audience or your readers. And also, my dear friends, in that findings, guide to identify specific contributions in research. And also, I'm going to talk about, the final aspect of that importance of bibliography. Yes, in final, my dear friends, the evaluators of, research, projects or research studies, first, they read your abstract and immediately they see your, bibliography. So if they see bibliography, immediately they will come to know how sound your research is. Because you need not, keep only, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, the books which are written. Your bibliography, should be, combined. You have to show your latest books because you are up to the mark. If you are, if you are quoting or if you are, keeping very latest books in the bibliography, definitely you are up to the mark. You are just, very compatible to that present and contemporary, a learning system. So in that bibliography, okay, the bibliographic content consultant, what are the books you refer? What is the information you incorporated in your research? And also, my dear friends, citations and the key texts. What you will see in your bibliography, citations and the key texts. And also, my dear friends, you will see that serves to create a framework for reference for that research. You will frame a reference for that research. So these are the aspects, my dear friends, you have to, strictly follow when you are carrying out, a research. That's why these are the aspects, these are the basic elements of, a research, working on the research. Every aspirant, every individual, he has or she has to follow all these, research, steps. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want to share that, my knowledge. This is just, overview of, research. Just I want to, actually, I selected this topic, for the people, those who are going to begin the research. That's why I have taken this. And in some other lectures, we'll definitely meet with different topics. Thank you very much. Thank you. One and all. Fatima?
Good. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation, and it was really a fabulous session. And thanks for sharing the details and honest information. We learned a lot about how to see and frame data and to ways how can we present those data. It was really a good session.
Fatima?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Fatima?
Yes, sir.
These people are texting that they need this, PPTs. I'll send to you. We just, send to that participant.
Definitely, sir. Sir, I'm reclaiming the host, and sir, we have some questions. Can we ask some participants? They need to ask some questions.
Definitely, Fatima, with pleasure.
Yeah. Anyone is having any question, please ask your questions. You are free to ask.
Hello.
Sir, what is the sampling?
This is am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, what is the sampling?
Yes, sampling means, hello, there is a disturbance.
Sir, if I'm audible, I think all of them have mic access and they've all unmuted themselves.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, it was a wonderful sessions and really needful sessions for pursuing PhD, especially in the particular area of English. So I have two questions for English scholars, especially doing an ELT, English language teaching. So our motto is to enhance a particular skills, LSRW or any linguistic aspects. Is there any particular methods to follow a sampling size? Because we people don't know how to select the sample size. How Morgan Regis is giving a particular sample size for social science. Are there any particular methods to follow sampling size? Sir? Ma'am, are you there, ma'am?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Here, my dear friend, here, this is go for random sampling. Always go for random sampling. If you are going random sampling, you will find out what actually you are going to work on. Okay. And also I'll suggest one book, that is Ranjit Kumar's, okay. You just, go through that Ranjit Kumar's, that research, methodology book, and he will, narrated many areas very clearly. Even a common man can easily understand. Okay, and also, my dear friend, you are asking about, sampling means. It depends on your research design. If you, everybody's research design is unique. My research design is different to your research design, and your research design is different to my research design. But, sampling is not the common thing. Based on that, experimental study, if it is an experimental study, your sampling is, definitely, if it is ethnographic study, okay, or experimental study, based on that, we will prepare sample. Okay, we will go for sample. So that is very, there are, my dear friend, you have always a very wonderful question you have asked me that, experimental research and ethnographic research or historical research or historical, whatever the studies, based on that, you have to go for sampling.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
What you have suggested is 100% and absolutely right. Tariff random sampling is best for doing an experimental study. Yes. My question is, 30 sample is especially for doing an experimental, for the control group 30 for samples, and the experimental 30 sample is fit for doing an experimental study. My question is there any particular methodology? For example, for doing in a social science, students like economics and all other department comes under social science, they are following that Morgan sampling method. But am I an English scholar, ELT scholar? Do I follow more than 30 sample, or is there any particular target of selecting a sample, or is there any research done on the particular doing a particular concept of sampling size? That's my question, sir. What you have suggested, that Ranjit Kumar book also we can refer further year after for your sessions. We can incorporate all your ideas. We will think about that particular sampling size. There we are lacking. That's why I raised the question, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me clarify your doubt here, sir. There is no particular sampling, whether it is 30 or whether it is 60, whether it is 50 or 100, okay, whatever it is, so that, there is no, it is depends on the survey. Okay. And it is survey 580 also.
Sir, sorry, sir.
It depends on the type of survey. Okay.
Sir,
so
sorry, sir.
Based on that, you will go for, that number. Okay. There is no certain, methodology. We need this number of, that number of. I can suggest that.
Okay, sir. For as an English scholar, shall we do a survey method? Survey is only for collecting information, narrating what exactly what they have.
Yeah, you are talking about social sciences like economics and all these things. So that I'm telling that.
Sir, hello. Good evening, sir. Sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Ilima here from Kakinada.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
This is Devsena. I have a doubt.
My topic of research is like, can we foster language speaking, integrating all the 4 language skills? So what I did is I just did an experiment with 2 groups, sir. So can I call it as a case study or an experimental research? Because every time I have a doubt on this. What type of research am I doing? Is it a case study or an experimental research?
It is not a case study, Nilima.
Okay,
it is experimental research.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you just stick to that experimental research. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Can you please throw some light on what is research methodology? Because I've been gone through all these in the first day.
Yeah,
Methodology.
definitely, Neelima, I'm very happy, always to share the knowledge.
Okay.
And you just, I'll put that, my mail ID. Okay, you just, okay, we can, mail definitely. I'll
Okay,
reply.
but it's really very, very informative session. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, good evening, sir. I'm Manasa. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mansa, I'm hearing.
So, which source will provide us more research information? Like we do have n number of platforms, like searching theoretically on the old articles, or practically doing it on the lab, or searching from Google, or following the authenticated books like United States of Pharmacopoeia, British Pharmacopoeia, European Pharmacopoeia. Many platforms are there, but which key source will plays a major role on getting the loads of information on the research topic?
So, it's a valid question. We can rely on Joster.
Okay.
Okay, we can rely on Joster and also Willy. Okay, and these two are very reliable sources. Taking information that I can tell you that Joster is the ultimate. You can rely on that.
Okay.
Good evening, sir. This is Devsena.
Good evening,
Able to hear?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. This is Devsena. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah, I'm getting you. Please go ahead.
Now you were explaining about theoretical framework, right?
Yeah.
And you said theory is mandatory and integral part of a research work. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
So now my question is, should all the research work have some theory which needs to be implemented, or it can be a part of creative writing too?
No, if you are talking about all research works means it's not necessary. Okay, but here what I'm what I explained to you is it depends on that area of your research.
Okay.
For example, if you are a literature student, or if you are working on certain postmodern writer or modern writer, definitely you stick to that theory. What is the postmodernism? And you just you have to use that postmodernism as a canvas where you establish your idea, your unique idea. So I cannot tell you that it's all research work needs theoretical framework. Okay. Sometimes it is also narrative research.
Because a couple of days back, me and my friend, we came across something called subaltern literature, and we are working on a conference paper. So there was a sub-theme in it for sexual abuse, and my friend personally wanted to, kind of bring her own narrative into the research paper. So that is when she asked me, do we require it to be something that is researched, or can we bring in our originality?
Yeah, you see, you just work on that gender studies.
Okay.
Okay, definitely you will have wonderful clarifications if you go through that gender studies.
Okay.
So there is a question from
and also second sex. Okay. Novel. There is one novel, Second Sex. Okay.
Yes.
You just find that novel and go through that. Definitely you will have wonderful clarifications, and you can discuss. You and your friend you can discuss.
Thank you, sir.
Fatima.
Sir, there is a question from YouTube. Miss Madhuri wants to know about the process of collecting primary and secondary sources and reading them.
Okay.
Can you throw some light on that?
She needs a primary source and a secondary source, right?
She wants to know about the process of collecting primary and secondary sources and reading them.
Dr. Fatima, already speaker is waiting. Dr. Fatima.
Yes.
He is waiting from Dhaka.
Yes.
Okay, and we should not make him waiting. Okay, and already I keep my mail ID. Okay,
Yes, sir.
just to send them, whatever they need. Okay, definitely we will answer them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Okay.
excuse me.
I have a question.
Sir, I
Thank
have
you.
a question.
Thank you, my dear, participants. Thank you very much. I feel very happy to meet you all. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
I have a small question.
Yeah.
Yes. So here, I'm Dr. Smriti from Odisha, sir. Sir, what is the basic difference between the reference, the bibliography, and annotated?
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear.
Sir, can you please tell us about how can we write our abstract?
Subaltern studies. What's that? No, the voice is, there is no clarity in the voice. Okay, Dr.
Hello,
Fatima.
sir.
Dr.
Hello,
Fatima.
sir.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Fatima.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please start the second session, please.
Yeah.
Please. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us, dear participants. Because of we are moving ahead towards the second session, and before that, I would like to say thanks to sir that we hope we have more sessions from you in the future.
Ma'am, can you please mute everyone? I don't know, there is a lot of disturbance.
Definitely. Yeah. So thanks for the wonderful session, sir. I hope we have more session from you in the future. Session was very informative and useful. So let us proceed further for the next session, for the second session. We have, as we are proceeding toward the second session, we have with us Professor and Dr. Ilham Hussain from Dhaka. He can write, we can rightly address him as a multidisciplinary personality. He is an academic, essayist, translator, editor, literary critic, and whatnot. He did his BA honors and MA in English literature. He wrote his MPhil dissertation on the colonial literature and doctoral dissertation on novel of Chinua Achebe in the University of Dhaka. He has authored 11 books, Ants and Anxieties, then the colonial encounter and the post-colonial ambivalence, Africa, African literature and aesthetics, and so on. These are the some of seminal books. He has translated Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart and Trouble with Nigeria and Ben Okri's Freedom Artists into Bengali. More than 40 of his research articles have been published in the academic journals of home and abroad. Dr. Hussain has participated in a huge number of national and international seminars and conferences and presented research paper there. He also delivers lecture as a resource person and plenary speaks in many national and international seminars and conferences. His areas of research interest encompasses the vast array of literary and cultural theories, anthropology, South Asian and African literature and cultures, and Indian literature in English. He edits a periodical named Africa Alo, Light of Africa, published from the Center for Studies in African Literature and Culture, Dhaka. He has more than 21 years of teaching experience in graduation and post-graduation level. At present, he is serving as a professor of English in Dhaka City College, Dhaka, and teaching the students of graduation and post-graduation level at the National University, Bangladesh. You're welcome, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. He's not there.
Ma'am, sir was not there in the session.
But he was there, I saw him. Sir is not there, I'll call him.
We are eagerly waiting for the next session.
Just wait a second. He is joining. I think he left. I think.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yeah. Just 1, 2 seconds. He is joining within a second. He said so.
Good evening, ma'am. What about our feedback form?
Yeah, we will post a feedback form after both the session. Every day we will be having feedback form at the end of both the session. And remember that there will be questions from both the sessions.
Feedback form will be given in Zoom or in WhatsApp, ma'am?
Not in WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Professor Hussain is here, and we welcome you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, we welcome you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a great honor to have you with us, sir. I have already introduced you, sir. So can you proceed? You can proceed with your presentation, sir.
Thank you very much for your generous introduction. And once again, good evening, everybody. It's my honor and privilege to share the online platform with all the luminaries, scholars, researchers. I express my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages of Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad, for inviting me as a resource person in international workshop on academic writing and publishing. And once again, I express my thanks and gratitude to Dr. Fatima.
Thank you, sir.
Because she has contacted me from time to time, and I'm really happy to remain in all of your contact.
Definitely.
Today, I like to share some of my ideas about my topic, authenticity of a research work and the challenges a researcher encounters. So a research work is really very important because it adds something new to the existing body of knowledge. And if it is not authentic, then our research is nothing but the wastage of time and wastage of resources related to it. So I think authenticity or validity of a research work is the first and foremost condition that a researcher must follow very strictly and sincerely. Now, while maintaining this authenticity, what challenges a researcher encounters, or what obstacles he is to overcome? I think I have located some obstacles that a researcher encounters while doing a research work. And I will now share these findings, my findings with all of you. It's my pleasure to share my findings with all of you luminaries. A research is a learning process for the researchers. And throughout the life cycle of a research, that is from submitting the research proposal to writing the concluding chapter, a researcher is to go through a wide range of experiences. So writing a research is just like a roller coaster journey of a researcher. And it is involved in a lot of impulses, a lot of experiences. And about the experiences of the researcher, John Bingham has said, I'm quoting from him, the excitement of starting a large research project, angst at trying to get a handle on your subject area, delight at reading the work of others, more experienced researchers, confusion over the plethora of material, frustration at following blind leads, satisfaction in structuring one's own thoughts and arguments, the pain having to remove what that is on hindsight not relevant, and relief in completing the concluding chapter. So that we find that a research work, that is the process through which a researcher goes, is really a very diversified experience. So panic, anxiety, pride, tedium, and exhilaration are inseparable parts of a research, from the selection of a topic to the analysis of sources and referencing. Despite all these exertions, if our research is not valid or empirical, and if it is not acceptable to the research community, it loses its credibility and authenticity. So an authentic research must have the capacity to be Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Actually, because of technical inconvenience.
You are audible, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, kindly share your screen.
Okay. So, panic, anxiety, pride, tedium, and exhilaration. So these are the inseparable parts of a research, from the selection of a topic to the analysis of sources and referencing. So despite all these exertions, if our research is not valid or empirical, and if it is not acceptable to the research community, it loses its credibility and authenticity. So our research should have the capacity, or should have or should have been a research community. Actually, this is the first and foremost condition of authenticity of a research. That is, a research should be acceptable by the research community. So let me first summarize some points that are to be emphasized for ensuring authenticity or validity of a research work. First of all, a research to be based on, quote unquote, tried and tested research strategies and data collection techniques. That is, a research must follow a tried and tested research strategy. And data collection techniques are to be acceptable. And this is said by John Bingham has said that the strategy that a researcher should follow is to be tried and tested. Then use of data analysis techniques. So collection of data is to be done systematically, following some particular methodologies. And at the same time, data analysis is to be done with an appropriate research methodology or technique that is tried and tested. Then use of mixed method, that is qualitative and quantitative research methodology, inductive and deductive reasoning that will encourage the use of a survey report as research strategy. So use of mixed method, that is qualitative method and quantitative method, may be used in a single research work for making a research work more credible, more authentic, and acceptable to the research community. Use of relevant data collection techniques, then appropriate way of data collection strategy, and then implementation of empirical knowledge. That is, our research may start with a hypothesis, but our research work is not a fiction. It must be based on the concrete information, data, samples, and other relevant things. So implementation of empirical knowledge of the researcher is one of the most important aspects of credible and authentic research work. Then use of appropriate approach and method suited to the research work. So appropriate method and approach is very important because your topic may coincide the topic of your preceding researchers, but your approach and method will make research work will be distinctive because of your distinct approach and method. If the approach and method is not distinctive, then the research work may not be original or unique. Then records of data collected from the questionnaire or interviews, these records must be preserved to prove the reliability of research work. So a research work can be reliable if it can be defended by the statistical data or records which are collected during the collection of data through interviews or questionnaire. Then while doing research, a researcher should avoid the subjectivity or biasness.
Sir, can you share the PPT?
So actually, I haven't prepared the PPT, but I think after this session, I will send my paper.
And you can share now.
The organizer may share it with the participants.
Later on, he will share. Please.
Yes. I will email my paper to the organizer, and you please, you will please share it with the participants.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Definitely, you can proceed, sir.
Thank you, madam. Then using computer software for analyzing and storing data in a systematic and widely acceptable way. And last of all, which is very essential for ensuring authenticity, our research work is the straightforward presentation of findings. That is the findings that a researcher will find during his investigation or collection of data. And these findings should be presented in a straightforward way. That is, the language of a dissertation must be free from ambiguity and slipperiness, because language is not from theoretical perspective. From theoretical perspective, quote, the reliable tool of communication we believe it to be, but rather a fluid, ambiguous domain of complex experience in which ideologies program us without our being aware of them. So I think language is not only the means of communication. Language is not only a medium of communication. Language is a system. We use language, and language uses us. Language constructs us. So I think language of a research work should be straightforward. It should be free from ambiguity and slipperiness. And here lies the danger of falling into the trap of biasness, parochialism, chauvinism, and bigotry. That is, language is a system, and as language is a reservoir of a person's ideology, a person's disposition, so language is to be used in a research work very carefully to ensure authenticity, as it relies on wide acceptance and acceptance. A researcher must remain conscious to overcome these pitfalls that may challenge the validity of his.
521 se 500 hua 482.
That is, a research work, a research paper is to be written in a straightforward language.
Please share the screen. Could you please share?
So these are some of the activities that a researcher should follow to do a valid and authentic research. Now, authenticity, literally, what is authenticity? Or on the basis of which standards we can call a research paper authentic? Authenticity literally implies the concepts such as credibility, accuracy, genuineness, and validity. And this term primarily implies original or accurate representation. That is, the concept must have been in the track, which is usually followed by the majority of people. The term also refers to the real, devoid of artificiality and superfluity. When a concept is claimed to be original or authentic, it must be fortified by ethics and moral values practiced in the relevant fields and supported by the consent of majority of the people belonging to the community. That is, a research work is to be done maintaining some ethics or ethical principles. A researcher must maintain some ethical principles while doing the research work. Otherwise, it will not be acceptable to the research community. In personal level, when a concept is formulated on the basis of the concerned person's honesty, sincerity, perseverance, integrity, consistency, and dedication, it attains authenticity. So authenticity can also be ensured by the practice of these abstracts, for example, honesty, sincerity, perseverance, integrity, consistency, and dedication. And theoretically, the term authenticity is involved with the deliberate practice of hegemony. So authenticity goes with hegemony, that is power. Now, I will explain this point, how authenticity goes with this term hegemony. Actually, hegemony is a term that I have borrowed from Gramsci, Italian communist leader and post-colonial theorist. I have borrowed this term from Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci. So theoretically, the term authenticity is involved with the deliberate practice of hegemony, because when a concept is acknowledged by the majority of the people of a community, it takes up the role of logos and inevitably claims people's submission to this logos. It's usually known as logocentrism. So logocentrism in course of time assumes the role of meta-narrative, which controls the ideological state apparatuses, especially in academia. And if we borrow Jacques Derrida's conception of logos, then it can be said that, quote, the sense of security provided by a belief in logos is illusory. That is, logos is a kind of discourse which controls and which exercises its power upon a particular community of thinkers. So a research work is a discourse. It may serve as a logos. Now, logos does have the site, or it should have a space for deconstruction.
Yeah.
It must be deconstructed by the successive researchers. Now, how does this process happen? In connection with this conception, it can be affirmed that a good research work should have the capacity of claiming authenticity in context of existing body of knowledge. And at the same time, it should work as a site in which it will create a dialectical and discursive space that will keep on promoting new thoughts, concepts, and ideas through negotiations and interactions, and thus keep the horizon open for the paradigm shift in epistemology and encourage further research. So a research is also a site. It will open the horizon of new thoughts and new ways of thinking. A research work should have this flexibility. Otherwise, a research may be biased. And research should develop through negotiation, through interaction, and through dialogues. So research is to be done through a dialectical process. And this is the reason for which a researcher goes to the field, collect data from relevant persons or relevant participants. Actually, this is the dialectical process. And dialectical process makes our research work authentic and acceptable to the research community. So research should work as a site, and it creates a dialectical and discursive space, and it keeps on promoting new thoughts, concepts, ideas through negotiations, interactions, and thus keep the horizon open for the paradigm shift, because we find intertextuality in a research work. Intertextuality is very common in a research work. In addition to prove that our research does really have an impact on the relevant field of exploration, it must ensure its credibility through acceptability. So selection of a topic is very important, and it also contributes to the credibility of a research work. So selection of a credible and doable topic is the first and foremost task that a researcher must choose, with a wise consideration of the availability of resources. So suppose the topic that you have chosen does not or is not supported by sufficient resources, then the research may not be strong or research may not be credible. So books, academic library, research grant, money, participants in research must be sufficiently available. Besides, a theoretical framework is to be decided at the very inception of a research project. So I put emphasis on theoretical framework. So why? Because theory is a kind of, it will provide a researcher with a structure. And if your work is not structured, then it may be diverted to a wrong direction. So a theoretical framework is essential. Besides, a theory is just like a window. It is just like a new or distinct way of looking at things, or way of analyzing, interpreting different issues and different things. So I think taking a theoretical framework is essential while doing a research. Otherwise, our findings may be diverted to a wrong direction or digressed. But this methodology, otherwise a researcher, that is, if a theoretical framework is not taken up, a researcher may digress or be trapped in a wrong area of study that may make the research irrelevant or replication of the precedent researches in the relevant field of study. But this methodology or the theoretical framework must not come from the researcher's whimsical preference. It will be decided and directed by the research question. The topic must suit the interest of the researcher, and it should be compelling enough to sustain his dedication till the end of research project. So this topic may coincide the topics of the previous researchers. But the innovative approach and methodology will help the researcher generate new ideas and add then to the existing body of knowledge. The topic should be flexible so that there remains the opportunity of fine-tuning in accordance with the variations of data and information provided by the participants in the research project. So the topic may be familiar. Suppose the topic with which I am working may coincide the topic which was worked on by my previous researcher. All right. But I am genuine, or my work is genuine only because my approach and methodology are genuine, and it is different. So approach and methodology will make your analysis, your interpretation, your way of looking at things, or your way of investigation different. So topic or the area of study may be same. It may coincide the previous researchers, but your approach and method will make your findings, your investigation, your research work different. Then the first and foremost sign that marks the authenticity of a research work is its wide acceptance that I have already said. Acceptance is a kind of acknowledgement. So when our research is accepted, then we can say that it is acknowledged by the research community. So knowledge which is innovative and relevant always wins the favor and support of the target readers. Now the question arises, how can a researcher attain this ability, that is, ability of attaining favor and support of the target audience? Prior to preparing a research proposal, a researcher is to have an extensive background reading. that we call literature review. So as soon as a researcher selects his topic or his area of study, he should have an extensive and intensive literature review. He will have to investigate whether in this field, what works have already been done and what new site or new corner of knowledge or thinking you have achieved on which you will work. So the literature review is to be extensive and intensive. Otherwise, the research work may suffer. Then a researcher must not forget that his duty is not to summarize the findings of his predecessors or preceding researchers. Rather, his duty is to commence his research from the point where his preceding researchers in the relevant field have stopped. So a researcher does not repeat or summarize the findings of his predecessors. He will take the previous researcher's discourse ahead, in addition with some new ideas, new ways of looking at things, in new ways of interpreting issues and different relevant aspects in the field of study. And for this purpose, he is to innovate the way he will approach his research question and collect data in an appropriate way, considering multiple dimensions of the ideas and intertextuality among different branches of epistemology is to be split up with unique ability that will enable him to perceive the line between two distinct phenomena. Qualitative and quantitative approaches are to be brought together in such a way that the objective of the research will not miss the target point of the findings. The mixed method is widely acceptable because quantitative methodology encourages the researchers to include statistical data or mathematical data that they collect from the fieldwork. And if these statistical data support the information collected from primary and secondary sources, the research work becomes credible, authentic, and convincing to a great extent. Now, for avoiding being stereotyped, a different but valid way of interpretation is to be innovated by the researcher. I have already said that you can work in the same field of study where your previous researchers have worked. Now, how can you avoid being stereotyped? A researcher cannot forget that he's special. So every researcher, I believe, has a special capacity. Why? Because he has a special way of looking at things. He has a special ability to interpret issues and data. And he possesses a special way of looking into the things all around him. So a researcher is special because his way of looking at things is special. This specialty will help him collect data in a convincing way and organize those data systematically and generate new ideas. It also enables him to collect samples and data using valid tools and enables him to analyze data concretely and convincingly, leaving his prejudice and biasness apart. And in this connection, he must not forget that our research work is not a creative writing, and hence he must not take resort to metaphor, allegory, or any other form of rhetorical devices to convey his findings to his target audience in a roundabout way. To be straightforward is one of the conditions that may help our research work to be authentic. So the language of a research work should be free from rhetorics, because rhetorics make a research work ambiguous, and it may make the target audience confused. For that reason, if a research work is to be authentic, it should be straightforward. And in this regard, self-awareness of a researcher is a must for the credibility and authenticity of the research work. For this purpose, a researcher at first should define and determine the positionality in the society in which and for what he or she doing the research work. That is, the purpose of a research work is to be clarified towards the beginning. Awareness of his epistemological, cultural, geographical location will help a researcher to be free from his biases and prejudices. A fatal obstacle that acts as a block to the way of attaining authenticity. So the researcher's prejudice or biases are very, very dangerous for the research work. They may tell upon the authenticity of the research work, because biasness in a research work tells upon its a wide acceptance, or it may not be accepted widely by the reading public or the target audience. And everybody is subjective by instinct, but coloring the findings of the researcher with his or her subjective emotions and impulses may have the risk of telling upon the authenticity of a research work. A researcher can never miss the point that he is not a fiction writer. A research work is not a fiction writer, fiction. And a researcher's feet must always be fixed upon the firm ground of the realities. And he or she must keep the research community in mind. This is important. The research community should be kept in mind. For whom a researcher is working, for whom a researcher is doing his research, is to be kept in mind always while doing the research work. And a researcher must avoid being hypothetical in his final findings. He or she may have a hypothesis or a research proposal at the outset with a view to identifying a research proposal, and it is to be established with data or statistical observations. That is, the research proposal is to be well fortified with observations and data. John Creswell, has termed it as, quote unquote, purpose for research. It must not be the end point of the researcher. It must be the inception that will identify the major intent or objective for further study in a particular methodology. It will help him or her focus on, quote, the study, the participants in the study, and the location or site of inquiry, or it serves as a research question that a researcher plans to answer in. It serves as a research question that a researcher plans to answer in his or her research study with sufficient data and references. So authenticity ensures the survival of a research work. Haphazard ideas cannot achieve the grit which is essential for the survival of a research work. True, a research work is a discourse of the researcher. So research work is a discourse. It has the power to add something new to the existing knowledge system. Application of proper and innovative and valid methods is the prerequisite of generating credible, widely acceptable, and corresponding ideas. both qualitative and quantitative methods can be applied side by side in a research work if necessary, because not only information from the secondary sources and primary sources is enough, but also statistical data are often urgent to defend the discourse of the researcher. Note that discourse and hegemony go hand in hand. That is, while a researcher is producing a discourse, it means directly or indirectly that he is going to exercise hegemony in the area of a particular study. Discourse and hegemony play the roles of essential instruments for measuring the forms of question or negotiations in cultural exchange. A research usually works in the space of deficiency of discourse, and thus it corresponds with the realities of the historiography, and in this way exercises its hegemony upon the knowledge system. For example, Michel Foucault, a French philosopher and historian, theorizes powerfully the control. His theories powerfully control the way of thinking about the relation between knowledge and power. Discourse, in accordance with Foucault, commands social control through societal institutions. That is, while a researcher is producing a discourse or a research work, he is going to control a particular section of readers or researchers who will follow, who will borrow materials or informations from him. In this way, he will exercise hegemony upon some researchers in the relevant field. A huge number of postmodernist and post-structuralist thinkers, for example, use Foucault's theoretical framework to analyze the coercive forces of the society and investigate how these forces work for controlling the knowledge system in the network of the society. And discourse, as defined by Foucault, refers to ways of constituting knowledge together with the social practices, forms of subjectivity, and power relations. Actually, discourses are more than ways of thinking and producing meaning. It can be positive, negative, repressive, and liberating. Everybody in the society is a constituent part of a discourse. Nobody can go beyond the hegemony of discourse, as discourse may be both positive and negative and impacts the society very powerfully. A researcher must produce his discursive research work authentically by following research methodology and other relevant steps so that a comprehensive and convincing discourse can be produced. In this connection, 6 steps of research methodology I like to mention here, and I have borrowed this 6 steps from John Creswell, 6 steps of research methodology I like to share with you. Number 1, identifying a research problem. And number 2, reviewing the literature. So at first, the research problem is to be identified with clarity, and then literature review in the relevant field is to be done extensively. And specifying our purpose, this is number 3, specifying our purpose for research. So why I am doing the research? What is its utility? How can it contribute to the existing body of knowledge? Or how can it benefit the community, research community? So it is to be specified. And number 4, collecting data. So while I specify my purpose, I will have to fortify or defend my purpose with data. The number 5, analyzing and interpreting data. So data analysis and interpretation is to be done with appropriate techniques and methodology. And last of all, reporting and evaluating. So our research, so these are the 6 steps that have been mentioned by John W. Creswell. And these 6 steps are to be followed in research methodology. And these 6 steps can provide a researcher with a framework, a structural framework. That is how he will go through his investigation. So our research is a well-constructed discourse. I call research a discourse. And the identification of the topic to the study contributes to the authenticity of the research work. So anything under the sun can be your topic. But how your investigation will come to the use of the society is important. And this is called the utility of the research work. And this is the function of a discourse. A discourse exercises a kind of authority upon the knowledge system. So our research work, if we call it a discourse, is to be done with care and following some particular rules. A problem which is relevant to the realities related to the discursive system of knowledge, that is, knowledge is generated through discursive system, a dialectical way. Its utility is to be identified and resolved through justification in association with the suggestion of the importance of the study. As research is a specialized work, its subject matter and the researcher's focus of attention must be specified. The topic may be new or may not be new. A researcher may work on the topic that has been done already, but to avoid being overlapped or the charge of plagiarism, he or she must decide a distinct context and a larger volume of samples and data should be collected. So a research topic may be same as previous researchers, but it should be different with the collection of a big volume of data and a special or distinct way of interpreting the data. Actually, authenticity and originality of a research work depend on the researcher's distinct and valid approach and method. Furthermore, anything under the sun that I have already said can be your area of study. But the dexterity of a researcher lies in producing his research work as a site of novelty, credibility, validity, and reproducibility. How he relates his findings to the select audiences contributes to the genuineness of the research work. Besides, a researcher's liability is to make the scholars interested in the body of knowledge, and besides, the researcher's liability is to make the scholars interested in the body of knowledge and the archaeology of truth. If he can do it, he can claim genuineness and authenticity. So a researcher can claim genuineness if his approach, if his way of investigation is genuine. So the field of study may be the same. In a single field of study, hundreds and thousands of researchers may work, but the distinct approach and method may make a researcher different from other researchers. So true, a research work is a specialization of the researcher in a specific field of studies. Hence, the thing that a researcher must do with priority is to mark a definite topic that must not copy his preceding researchers. But there may be intersectionality or intertextuality. After defining his or her field of research, a researcher must investigate perseveringly and intensively where his preceding researcher stopped. It's essential because he must begin from the point where his predecessors stopped. Repetition of old ideas and use of already applied data and echoing the voice of the predecessors must tell upon the authenticity of the research work. So I do repeat, repetition of old ideas and use of already applied data and echoing the voice of the predecessors must tell upon the authenticity of the research work. And the researcher may be charged with plagiarism if he or she does not acknowledge his or her debt to his or her predecessors. Our research is not for degree only. In many cases, we find that the researchers, many researchers are not interested in publishing their research work. So research work, many research works are not published. But the researcher gets some facilities. For example, he may get promotion in his work, or he may get some other facilities for his degree. But unfortunately, in many cases, not in all cases, I am not generalizing it, in many cases, research works are not published. And I have visited many websites of many universities, and I am really shocked to discover that many universities do not publish, at least they do not upload the soft copy of the research works in their site. I do not know why. So why they are not interested in uploading the research work in their websites? I think all the research works should be uploaded, at least in soft copy. The research works, if printed, then okay, because I think printed research work may come to the use of, may work as secondary sources for the successive researchers. But at least the soft copy of the research work should be available in the sites of every universities or every institutions where research work is conducted. It is essential, and I think if it is done or if it can be ensured, the researchers will feel that they will have to do a concrete work that will survive and that will add something new. Otherwise, if a research work is not published, then it may have some chances of plagiarism and some other allegations that we usually find brought against some researchers nowadays. So research papers or research works should be published in it may be it may be printed or it may be uploaded in soft copy in different sites of different educational institutions so that the researchers, successive researchers, may be benefited. So to be authentic in findings, a researcher must make an extensive and intensive literature review that I have already said. Literature review is very important because it will help a researcher understand his location. It will help him understand whether he is doing an original work or not, or whether he is wasting his time or not. If the area that he has already selected is already explored extensively by preceding researchers, then he may choose some comparatively less explored area, and his findings in that very area will add something new to the existing body of knowledge. So literature review is important, very, very important. And literature review refers to a written report locating summaries, books, journals, and indexed publication on a topic. Creswell has defined literature review. So what is literature review? Literature review locates summaries books, journals, and indexed publication on a topic. For preparing a good literature review, a researcher needs to practice his skill by visiting academic libraries, accessing computerized databases, and locate what research work has been done in the relevant field of study he or she has chosen for running a research work.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Can you please conclude?
Okay, madam, I will conclude within 2 minutes. Thank you very much for your reminder.
Yes, sir.
So I think our research work is a discourse, and it is to be authentic. Now, I like to conclude with a few words. The challenge that a researcher encounters while attaining authenticity in today's world of digitalization is that with a single click of the mouse of a computer, he or she can have an access into the realm of a lot of information. So I think ebook or PDF are available in many sites of many universities. And a researcher can attain or can have a lot of materials in different sites. Ebooks are also available in different sites, or peer-reviewed journals are also available in different sites. But I think a researcher should also have a habit of reading the printed books, because for in-depth study, for extensive study, a printed book doesn't have any alternative. It can never be a replacement or alternative of the soft copy of a book that we usually read on the screen of a computer or laptop. So I think our researchers should have the habit of reading printed books, visiting libraries, and having extensive study that will contribute to his attaining authenticity or credibility among the research community. And last of all, I just like to conclude. It is undeniable that every research should have a potential role of a participatory research, action research. So research should have connectivity. It should have a negotiation with the research community. If a research addresses the applied problem of the society and ensures the dialectical negotiation with the community, then it can obviously claim wide acceptability. Our research usually does not work to promote the maxim, knowledge for knowledge's sake. It rather fortifies the adage, knowledge for life's sake. Besides, ethical stance can guard a researcher against intellectual theft or plagiarism. Again, every research work must be shared with the successive researchers. And for this purpose, the research papers should be published in printed form, or at least it should be available to the researchers in soft copy form, so that the findings may help the successive researchers, and the findings in the research work can be negotiated with the community whose issues have been addressed here. So I think when this job will be done with honesty, and when it will be done on an empirical base or ground, and when a researcher will maintain honesty, perseverance, and when he will be systematic and meticulous, then I think he can ensure credibility and authenticity in his research work. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thanks for the wonderful sessions. It was really very enriching. So we have some questions. Participants, you are feel free to ask some questions. Am I audible? Yeah. If any one of you are interested to ask any question, please feel free to ask. Sir, we have a question. How to make the research plan for a critical study of a literary text? How do you create citation? Should we use the MLA handbook or a software for that?
Yes, MLA handbook is very helpful for the researchers, especially while a researcher does his work in literature or in suppose social science. Then we advise the researcher to follow MLA handbook. And if it is in language or linguistics or ELT, then in our country, we usually use APA. APA. So I think both MLA, APA, and some other handbooks are available for citation or bibliography. And you can follow it consistently from beginning to the end, the same citation procedure. It may be MLA handbook or APA.
Generally, literature people are using, means MLA.
Yes, especially people researching in literature follow MLA handbook for citation.
We have
Thank
another.
you.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. You said we need to have an authentic source, but what if the research area is a new field? For instance, the literature aspect in video games, such as Lara Croft, and could statistical data collection from the individuals be considered as authentic? If so, is there a limit to the number of individuals?
Actually, I could not hear clearly because of technical.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. I'll repeat the question.
Yes.
You said we need to have authentic sources, but what if the research area is a new field? For instance, the literature aspect in video games, such as Lara Croft, and could statistical data collected from the individual be considered as authentic? If so, is there a limit to the number of individuals?
Yes, thanks for this question. Actually, we can have a lot of elements or a lot of things in electronic forms. We can collect different materials from different sources, especially from electronic sources or media. But most of the sources are not authentic. So while collecting data from different sources, especially electronic medium or electronic sources, we have to be careful about the authenticity of the sources there. That is, if you can mention or refer to the sources or authentic sources, then I think it's okay. You can collect materials from electronic sources or different sites. But most of the sites are not authentic. Many people upload many things only for entertainment. And if all these things are not relevant to the field of study that you are working with, then I think you can avoid it. And if these are relevant to your field of or area of study, and if you have some concrete ground, or if you have some concrete sources, then I think you can use these materials in your research work.
Is there anyone who would like to ask some question?
Yes.
Yes, good evening, sir. This is Vinodini from Konganadu, Coimbatore, research scholar. I think I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, you are audible, madam.
Yes, thank you, sir. I have a question that I'm doing on literature, like Afro-American author. So it is compelled to use theory on thematic study. So I'm doing thematic study. It is very compelled to use theories on thematic study.
I think, thank you very much for your question. Afro-American literature, you are working with Afro-American literature, and it's also my favorite field of study. Yes, theory has a risk, that is, your knowledge may be stereotyped, or your knowledge may be enslaved by some imported structure or framework. So theory is does have this risk, that is, theory may snatch away your original way of looking at things. Okay. That is, we have to look at ourselves through our own eyes. Why should we look at ourselves through the borrowed lenses? This is the question. But I think while using the theory as a framework for our investigation, we have to be careful. We should bring about a kind of negotiation between our way of looking at things and the theory. Theory just give you some directions, but it will not dictate you. This is very important. So theory must not play the role of dictator. Theory will give you directions only, but not dictate you. I think if you are conscious of this thing, I think you can easily and safely use theories. But one thing that I have already mentioned is to be kept in mind that theory's duty is not to dictate you. It will only give you directions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We have another question related to theory, sir. Mr. Darshan Lal has posted a question. Which theory should we apply on Dalit literature?
Madam, would you please repeat the question? Actually,
Yeah,
for technical inconvenience, my internet speed is not satisfactory today.
No, but you are very much audible and you are very much visible, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
Okay, would you please repeat the question?
Yes. Mr. Darshan, he posted a question. Which theory should we apply on Dalit literature?
Literary criticism. For literary criticism.
Well, theory. He's asking about the theory. Which theory should we apply on Dalit literature?
Dalit literature.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, it will depend on the area of study that you will choose. Suppose you are working on the relation between power and knowledge. Suppose you are investigating a text and trying to show the relationship between power and knowledge. Then I think you can borrow the theoretical framework from Michel Foucault, from Jacques Derrida. Or suppose you are working with Shakespeare's The Tempest. You are investigating some colonial elements there. Then I think you can borrow the theoretical framework from the post-colonial critics like Edward Said or Ijaz Ahmed, or our very famous and prominent Hamike Bhabha, Gayatri Chakravarti's Vibhag. So I think your area will decide what theoretical framework you will choose. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Sir, I am Sandhya from Telangana, sir, research scholar, sir. Sir, my area of interest is ELT, sir. And my topic is I would like to conduct experimental study on improving writing skills of students. So if I have to go for experimental study, like what should be my sample size, sir? How many students should I consider for my experiment?
Okay, thank you, madam. Actually, the larger will be your sample size, the more credible your work will be. So I think you can collect samples at random from different corners, from different groups of students, from different sections of the societies. And if the samples are varied, and if the samples are diversified, then I think your research will be more credible. The more samples you will collect and analyze and defend your research proposal, the more credible it will be. So I think it depends on how you will work and how many participants you will employ while doing your research work. And I think it should be considerably a good number, a big number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
It may consume time, it may
Yes.
take time, but I think it will benefit you and the research community. We will also be benefited by your investigation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Good
madam.
evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, Smruti from Orissa, sir. So, first of all, I would like to thank you for explaining the content in detail, sir. It was very informative. Sir, I have a small question. Sir, what is the basic difference between reference bibliography and annotated bibliography, sir?
Okay, bibliography, it is very essential part of our research work.
Sir.
And without an authentic and systematic bibliography, our research work can never claim originality and credibility. And bibliography undoubtedly makes our research work acceptable. Otherwise, bibliography is a kind of acknowledgement also. And without adding an elaborate bibliography, our research work may not be acceptable. It may be charged with plagiarism. So I think bibliography is very essential in our research work. And while preparing a bibliography, I think a researcher may follow a particular style of including or referencing or making a list of the secondary sources and primary sources that he or she uses during his research or her research work. So bibliography is to be elaborate, and it should be an inseparable part of our research work. And bibliography may, suppose I have examined a lot of research papers, PhD research papers, and I have found that some researchers, at the end of every chapter, they have added bibliography. And at the end of the research paper, finally, they have combined all the lists of bibliography together, and end notes, footnotes are also added. So I think bibliography is essential, very, very essential for making our research work credible and saving our research work from the allegation of plagiarism. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
So, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my question is, I have taken up research on women characters in American literature. So when it comes to application of theory while doing the research work, when I was just going through the previous research work, it was all pointing towards feminism. So I would like to know, my question is, I would like to know if there is any other theory other than feminism through which we can study the characters of women in American literature.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's a very nice question. while you are investigating the role of women or the location of women in American literature. So feminism is not the only theoretical framework that can help you there. I just like to give you an example. 3 days ago, I went to a university and I attended as a discussant in a seminar, which was thrown by a PhD researcher. And he was working on Pablo Neruda. I think Pablo Neruda, a very famous poet. According to Octavio Paz, he's a very fine poet. Okay. And the researcher was telling us about Pablo Neruda, a people's poet. That was his topic. Pablo Neruda, a people's poet. And he was concentrating on the biographical elements of Pablo Neruda. He has written a paper of 12 pages. 10 pages occupied his bibliographical investigation only, and only 1.5 pages were dedicated to the textual interpretation. So I was really shocked. And I asked him to follow a particular way of investigation. For example, while you were writing about Pablo Neruda as a people's poet, you have to define people. Who are people? So while you are working with women, so you have to borrow the ideas of power structure. The women are marginalized. I think bell hooks, you must have heard the name of this feminist, Afro-American feminist bell hooks. You may borrow some ideas from bell hooks. And I think she has very convincingly examined the location of women in American society, especially in Afro-American society. So I think you can borrow some ideas from bell hooks. And I think you can also borrow the theoretical framework from Helen Sixes and Ellen Showalter. So all these writers will help you understand the location of women. Besides, the Marxist criticism may also help you understand the location of women in the corporate economy, how our women are treated in corporate economy. So you can also approach this particular filled up area in this way, how our women are treated in corporate economy and how their location is commercialized and how their location is misinterpreted by different factors in the society influenced by the corporate power structures. Even power structure, even government is now being corporatized. So while you will consider all these things, then I think you can easily understand the location of women in our society, other than feminism. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. You have imparted an enlightening knowledge regarding the workshop and the relevant section. You have orated the topic thoroughly, leaving no rooms for doubt. Your manner of speech has given a new perspective to the areas of research, and it was really a very scholastic session and illuminating experience. And it would be an immense pleasure to attend more of your conferences. Thank you so much for attending us. Thanks for enlightening us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. And
good evening,
goodbye.
Sir.
All the best.
Dr. Fatima, I want to give a word to sir.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Dr. Wilson Jetty. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I feel
So
very
kind of
happy
you,
to
sir.
meet you. And the way you have given that information, it is, some marvelous, and we feel very grateful to you, giving your valuable time and spending your very valuable time and sharing your knowledge to all of us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So kind of you, sir.
Yeah, we are conveying from our bottom of heart that, the session went well, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Goodbye.
much.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay. With this, we would like to end our session. Dear participant, we will meet tomorrow at the same time. So good night. Have a sweet dream.
Fatima, you can end the session.
Yes, sir. We are in.
It was really a good session.
And you can take, if you have, any overall kind of, interaction with the participants, you can go ahead, 10 minutes. If they give, it is up to you.
No, sir. Actually, we all are hungry, so we don't have any interaction anymore.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. We'll meet.